Rain hammered the control tower as alarms screamed through the base. "Switch to frequency 325, now!" Haven's voice cut through the chaos. "If we don't reroute, that aircraft will hit the water." Someone shouted back, trembling, "Who the hell are you to take command?" Haven stepped forward, eyes steady. "Someone who's done this before. Now move." Haven Fox had never meant to reveal herself on her first night. She had arrived at Sentinel Harbor quietly, dressed in an old hoodie, carrying a simple canvas bag. The guard barely looked at her. The recruits didn't either. One joked that logistics would break her. Another whispered that the last admin worker quit crying. Haven just offered a small, harmless smile, letting the assumption settle over her like a cloak. Inside the operations office, the lieutenant colonel barely met her eyes. He shoved more paperwork aside and muttered that the system was falling apart. "If you survive your first month," he said, "you'll be tougher than most." She nodded, hiding the knowledge that she'd survived far worse. She moved through the base like a shadow, listening instead of speaking. Exhaustion hung in the air. People had grown used to delays, to failures, to disappointment. A sailor muttered, "I hope she types fast." Someone else added, "Or doesn't cry by day 3. Haven answered softly, "I'll do what I can." While inside, her real instincts remained coiled, waiting. She had led real operations. She had seen crises unfold in seconds. But here, she was invisible, and that was exactly what she needed. To see how deep the fractures ran, to understand why people had stopped expecting things to get better. She planned to stay hidden for weeks, but when the storm hit and the alarms rose through the night, she felt everything shift. The kind of shift only someone with real battlefield memory recognized. And in that breath, before she stepped into the chaos, Haven understood her disguise wouldn't survive the storm. Haven stepped through the gate with her hood low, jeans damp, a canvas bag hanging at her side. The guard skimmed her papers without interest. "Admin transfer, right? Building 2. She nodded softly. No one looked twice. That was exactly what she needed. Inside, the base moved with a tired rhythm. Conversations drifted around her about missing parts, delayed shipments, and systems breaking faster than anyone could fix. Haven kept her pace steady, absorbing every tone of frustration. When she reached Lieutenant Colonel Raines's office, he didn't even lift his head. Papers buried his desk, radios crackled nonstop. "Holloway handles admin staff down the hall. I'm swamped," he muttered, rubbing his forehead. She replied gently, "Understood, sir." He barely heard her. "Everything's falling behind. Motor pool's a disaster. We can't keep up." The words told her more than any report. Major Holloway greeted her with a weary nod. "You're the new admin? Good. We need bodies. Find any open desk." Her voice held no irritation, just exhaustion. Haven respected that more than any formal welcome. Across the room, a sergeant whispered, "Hope she lasts longer than the last one." Another sighed. "At this point, anyone who stays is a blessing." Haven set her bag down, answering simply, "I'll do what I can." As Holloway briefed Raines over the phone, her voice tight, saying delays were destroying trust, Haven kept her head lowered, but her mind was already tracing the shape of the problems. Not sloppy work, not incompetence, something quieter, heavier. A base sinking into resignation. No one suspected who she really was. To them, she was just another admin worker trying not to drown in the chaos. And for now, she needed to stay exactly that. Haven settled into the logistics office long enough to feel the strain in every corner. Fatigue clung to the room, mixed with a quiet, settled cynicism. Sergeant Briggs didn't wait long before tossing a jab her way. "Another fresh face. Hope you type fast, or at least don't cry by Friday." His smirk held more weariness than hostility. Haven gave a small, even smile. "I'll manage," Briggs snorted. "They all say that." Hours of paperwork revealed more than complaints ever could. Delays piled on delays, requests lost in loops, not chaos. Surrender. A base that had forgotten what working right looked like. When a motor pool request stalled again, she went there herself. The scent of fuel hung in the air as Staff Sergeant Riley Cole stood over a deadline vehicle, sleeves smeared with grease. He didn't wait for her explanation. "No, I'm not signing that. Parts never show. And you admin folks don't get that a missing pump can get someone stranded." Haven stayed calm. Then tell me why the last hydraulic unit failed, the real reason. Cole paused. The seals burned out, pressure regulators off by 2%. And the replacement won't help, she said softly, unless the regulators recalibrated first. His grip on the form slackened. How do you know that? I pay attention, she answered, and I read what others overlook. For the first time, his frustration eased. All right, he murmured. Tell me what you need. She handed the form back. Just the truth. I can work with that. Haven stayed late in the logistics office, long after most desks went dark. Seaman Turner sat hunched over his screen, drowning in error messages. He jumped when she approached. Sorry, ma'am. I think I broke it. Haven pulled up a chair. Let me try. Turner watched as her fingers moved with quick, practiced certainty. A few precise commands cut through the corrupted loop, and the system finally stabilized. He stared. How did you do that? She smiled softly. Your system's not broken, just overwhelmed. You were close. Word drifted out of the office before she left. At the communications wing, Sergeant Pike was buried in a half-opened console, sparks snapping inside. If you don't have miracle parts, I can't help you, he muttered. Haven crouched beside him. Your backup transmitter's overheating, coolant lines failing. Pike froze. That's exactly what's happening. And the signal jitter, she added, comes from the relay board not grounding. He narrowed his eyes. Who are you? Just learning, she said quietly, but the whispers had already begun. Someone claimed they saw a trident tattoo when her sleeve slipped. Another swore she spoke fluent Japanese to a supply tech. Someone else said she quoted a security regulation faster than a senior officer. She's not just admin. No way. Something's off about her. Haven kept her head down, walking through the rumors as if she didn't hear them. But the truth was already moving, just beneath the surface. The storm hit harder than anyone expected. Wind slammed against the buildings, rattling windows as sheets of rain blurred the runway lights. Inside the communications center, alarms burst to life in sharp, frantic pulses. Screens flickered, consoles hissed, voices collided in panic as the main relay collapsed under the surge. A controller shouted over the noise. We lost primary contact. I can't get the tower on any channel. Nothing's responding. Someone else yelled, the transport plane's already in descent. They're blind out there. Lights stuttered overhead, throwing the room into flashes of red and shadow. Static tore through the speakers, drowning every attempt to reconnect. A tech slammed his headset down, chest tight. All frequencies are dead. I'm telling you, dead. Another operator tried to recalibrate the panel, fingers shaking. If they can't hear us, they'll miss the approach window. They'll come in too low. The words hung heavy in the air, thick with fear. Someone pushed past the consoles, voice cracking. We need a backup channel, anything. We can't let that plane fly blind. But every screen fought against them. Every command failed. The comms tower outside swayed under the storm, its lights sputtering. The full weight of the crisis settled across the room, the kind that froze even seasoned operators in place. The operations chief finally whispered what no one else dared say. If we don't restore contact, they're going to hit the water. Silence washed over the room, brief, suffocating, and then the panic rose again, sharper, louder, directionless. No one had a plan, no one had control. The storm had taken everything from their hands, and the aircraft kept descending minute by minute into darkness. Haven stepped into the communication center as panic reached its peak. The storm roared against the walls, alarms blared, and every voice sounded on the edge of breaking. She didn't wait for permission. Her command cut through the room like a clean blade. Shift all traffic to frequency 325, now. Operators froze. No rank, no authority. Yet something in her tone held the room still. One tech tried to argue. 325 isn't active. It will be, Haven replied. Move. She leaned over a console, eyes scanning the failing readouts with unnerving precision. Pike, she called, check the physical connection on the backup antenna. Diagnostics aren't reliable in this surge. Pike hesitated, then ran, because she didn't sound like someone guessing. Another operator shouted that the auxiliary power was failing. Haven didn't flinch. Send Riley Cole with a mobile generator. If the grid drops, we lose the aircraft. Orders snapped into motion. The chaos settled into something focused. everyone falling into step behind her as if they'd trained under her for years. Static clawed through the speakers, then flickered, then steadied. A faint voice broke through. "Sentinel Tower? Transport 7? Weak but readable." Relief flickered across the room, but Haven stayed locked in. "Maintain approach. Adjust starboard 1 degree. You're low." The seconds that followed felt carved from stone. Pike's voice crackled back, breathless. "Backup antenna stable." Cole followed. "Generator online." Haven nodded once. "Hold the channel clear." The aircraft descended through darkness, every heartbeat a countdown. Then, Transport 7, touchdown safe. A wave of breath and trembling laughter swept the room. Haven stepped back quietly, letting them feel the relief they'd earned. Someone whispered, "Who is she?" Haven didn't answer. She didn't need to. The truth had already risen to the surface. There was nothing administrative about the woman who had just saved them. Morning light washed over the parade ground as the entire base gathered, still buzzing with rumors from the night before. Someone had taken charge in the storm, someone no one recognized. Now, everyone waited, tense and curious, for the arrival of the new commanding officer. The announcement echoed across the formation. "Prepare to receive the commander of Sentinel Harbor." All eyes turned toward the administration steps. Haven Fox appeared. Not in a hoodie, not with a canvas bag, but in immaculate dress whites. Admiral stars gleamed on her shoulders, catching the sunlight like a revelation. A ripple of shock moved through the ranks. A sailor whispered, "That's her, the admin worker." Another breathed, "She's a rear admiral?" Haven reached the podium, pausing long enough for the truth to sink in. Faces she recognized, Briggs, Turner, Cole, Pike, Holloway, stared back at her in stunned silence. Every assumption from the last days hung between them. When she spoke, her voice was calm, steady. "Yesterday, you met me as someone you believed was here to file paperwork. I let that stand because I needed to see this base as you live it every day, without ceremony, without filters." No one shifted. No one dared blink. "I saw your frustrations, your exhaustion, the parts of this system that have failed you." She let her gaze move slowly across the formation. "And I saw the strength you still carry, even when everything around you makes it harder." A quiet breeze swept across the field, but the crowd remained frozen, absorbing every word. "From this moment," Haven continued, "I take command of Sentinel Harbor. And I want you to know, I did not come here to be impressed. I came here to rebuild." The tension broke, backs straightened, shoulders lifted. A subtle wave of respect moved through the ranks, quiet, unified, undeniable. For the first time in months, the base felt awake again. Haven stayed at the podium as the formation waited, tense and silent. She looked over the rows of uniforms, people she had watched struggle through exhaustion, frustration, and a system that had nearly given up on them. Now it was time to choose who would help her rebuild. "This base will not fix itself," she said. "It needs those who prove their strength in the middle of chaos." The murmur that moved through the ranks was soft, unsure. "Major Holloway?" "Step forward." Holloway obeyed, stunned. Haven's voice gentled. "You held logistics together when everything around you fell apart. You will lead the task force to reform it and restore the backbone of this base." Holloway's breath caught, but she nodded with quiet resolve. "Staff Sergeant Riley Cole." Cole moved out of formation, posture straight, uniform still marked with grease. Haven met his eyes. "Your honesty and refusal to cut corners kept lives safe. You will oversee the base-wide maintenance optimization program." Cole blinked once, the weight of pride settling into his shoulders. "Sergeant First Class Daniel Pike." Pike stepped forward, jaw tight. Haven didn't hesitate. "Your clarity and precision revealed failures others overlooked. You will lead our technical integrity initiative." The announcement rippled through the formation, surprise, then understanding. Haven let silence settle before she spoke again. "From today on, we stop accepting excuses. We restore trust by acting with it. Sentinel Harbor will rise because the people standing here deserve a base worthy of their effort." For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then one sailor snapped to attention. Then another. Then the entire formation, boots striking the pavement in one unified motion, saluted their new commander. Haven returned the salute, calm and sure. The storm clouds above the bay finally broke, letting clean light wash across the field. It was the first clear morning of Sentinel Harbor's rebirth.